15 of Rational Romantics. After a brief interlude, because we got so much Bridgerton news, we are back with more An Offer from a Gentleman, which we are so excited to discuss chapters 16 through 20. And guys, these are content heavy chapters. So we're going to dive into those. But first, we have to do some updates from the Bridgerverse, from all the pop culture things that we love to discuss and you guys hopefully love to hear about. So let's chat about it, Deb.
Yeah, let's do it. It feels like I'm still winded though from the last episode. There's a lot to break down in the Bridgerverse in episode 14. So it's like even as we were like putting out the episode, more things are popping up. So yeah, we still got a lot to talk about, believe it or not.
Oh, for sure. Well, and it's so crazy because I mean we have what like 5 or 6 bullet points to go through of new things, and this feels still somehow like a breather week because last week was so intense.
It was so intense because last week we got news that Bridgerton season 4 is releasing in 2026, but shortly after that, we got a little bit more to that little piece of information that we need to talk about.
Oh my gosh, yes. So some of the promotional material that they had sent out to news outlets said not only 2026, but early 2026, which is a beautiful thing.
Okay, fine. I was mentally prepared for that information for sure. So let's talk about that because early 2026 is huge because it's kind of what we were predicting as well. And it's just good news. Everybody was like, oh, 2026 so far. But like, not really. If it's beginning, potentially quarter 1, I was actually re listening to our previous episodes today, actually. And we did talk about how like quarter 1 would make a lot of sense. So that's like half a year away. That's 6 months away. That is so close. No problem.
Yeah, we can do that. The one thing, and I still am thinking, until I am told anything otherwise, I'm still thinking quarter 1. I just do. There is a possible wrinkle because I know, damn it.
Yes. What?
So there has been rumors going around that Stranger Things might be releasing not in 2 parts, but in 3 parts, with the third part coming out in January or February of 2026.
What?
Yeah,
What
that's
is
been a
three
rumor.
parts? That is not a thing.
That's I don't like it. I don't like it and I don't believe it. But I feel like I have to throw that in there because it's being like widely reported as a possibility.
Oh, I don't like that. The only thing that should happen in 3 parts is a hockey game, right? There's no like
Yeah.
plays that are like there's no 2 intermissions in a play. Like it's one intermission. In TV, it's part 1, part 2. In movies too, like no, no. Ugh, I hate that actually.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. Yeah.
Different
But
genre altogether, but also a huge flagship, show for Netflix. And business wise, it would make sense to stretch it a little bit apart. So maybe March?
yeah. Well, and I think what we can be very comforted with early 2026 is that the with that information, the absolute complete latest that it could possibly be would be June. So we know that in a year, basically, we will have this show for sure. So if the worst case scenario is June, I can wrap my head around that. So that like it's a nice new worst case scenario. So it's pulled that back a little for us.
Okay. All right. Let's go with that. I Yeah, that is nice to know because there was even thoughts of like, oh, is it going to be like Christmas 2026? Like that would be too much. So, fair enough. Fair enough. We can take latest June. I will accept. But fingers crossed for sooner. Hopefully February, hopefully March. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But with this Stranger Things thing, that's weird to say. Is it something that they might confirm at Doom? Like, will we get more insight on that at Doom, you think?
I think so. I think that
Okay.
there's a really good chance that we hear a release date for Stranger Things at To Doom. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
TBD.
yeah,
TBD.
exactly. Which I feel like I'm like, guys, if you're gonna move it to like a 3-part release, just start releasing it weekly. Like, I don't understand. Just do the thing. Like, a 3-part release is stupid. Just admit that that type of streaming is gone and that we're not binge watching anymore, and that, I mean, not that we're not binge watching because we're all binge watching, but like that the release schedule for it keeps it in the public consciousness longer. It allows the word of mouth to spread. Like, realistically, a week to week is probably better for shows and productions and for the publicity and the whatever. So just suck it up, Netflix. I know you created the binge model. You're a, whatever, a pioneer, but just
Oh,
admit that the other way was better. If that's what you're
yeah.
going for, if that's what's going to be anyway, just do it. Just, yeah.
That, like, if I'm a Stranger Things fan, which I am, but if I'm like a hardcore fan, like, I'm worried about potential two cliffhangers to wait for. Like, that sounds so stressful to me as a fan. Like, if you told me Bridgerton was coming out in 3 parts, I would be rioting. I'd be like, no, no, no. Unnecessary. I do not want that.
Yeah.
Unless there's like more than 8 episodes.
So I think there's still only the 8 episodes, but they're each like 2 hours long for Stranger Things. So they're like 8 full-length movies. So I do get that a little bit, but again, I'm just like, just move it to a weekly. You can watch a movie a week. Like,
Yeah, no problem.
yeah.
Holy moly. Well, okay, that's a choice. That's a choice, but wouldn't be mine. But I guess only time will tell.
Exactly. Um, well, on another good news piece of this, season 5 is in production. Like, we knew that they're greenlit, but we have seen them on the production weekly guides that they are listed as doing stuff. We don't know what exactly. I'm feeling pretty confident that it would be the writer's room, maybe some very light pre-production things, but it seems like this is about normal, is that when the previous season ends, they start writing the next one. So, yeah, season 5 writing room.
That's so exciting. That's so exciting. I mean, it makes sense. We've said this before, like you're in it. You're just keep writing the story. It's got to be like the creative juices have to be like continuously flowing. So that's really really fun, really exciting to think that somewhere somehow they know what they're writing about, which couple is next. I'm so excited. But yeah, that's really cool news. It's really exciting and a good kind of momentum after getting the news that it's renewed, knowing that it's in production. That's really telling.
Yeah. Um, well, and season 5, our just perennial question that comes up every time we discuss this, kind of related to who might be leading season 5, there has been some filming at West Wickham Park, which does happen to be the home of Sir Philip Crane. It serves as Romney Hall, the exterior does, in Bridgerton season 2. So definitely people ran with that and they were like, oh my gosh, we're going to see Sir Philip, which 100% is a possibility, right? Like, that could very much be the truth. Also, though, West Wickham serves as like the interior of Aubrey Hall. It was the lake that Anthony fell into in season 2. It's lots of places. So this is a main space for Bridgerton to film. So I don't think we have any guarantees yet, but that is a possibility still to consider.
That's an exciting possibility. Um, and it's just so easy to jump to that conclusion. You're at the end of filming, and at the end of filming, you would likely have a scene where you're gonna kind of Easter egg who's next. So it's very easy to just jump onto the Sir Philip bandwagon and assume that he's gonna be back. But yeah, there's just so many variables here that it could be anything. But I mean, I ugh, I no matter who it is in season 5, I cannot wait to see Sir Philip. He doesn't need they don't even need to be the leads of season 5. That hit whenever it's going to be Sir Philip coming back, that's a bad sentence, whatever. Whenever he's going to be back, it's going to be like the Yelp, the collective Yelp is going to like rattle the ground. Like, I'm so excited.
Oh yeah. And especially if he comes back with a beard. I'm just on this train of like plant daddy with the beard. Give me Chris Fulton exactly like that. I need that to be a thing.
Oh my gosh, I do too. And honestly, it's just making me think like my mind went like a million different places just now, thinking why would he have a beard? Maybe he's in mourning, maybe he's sad, maybe he's depressed because Marina might have died. So, do we think we're going to get even just like a mention of Marina in season 4? I'm just going off script here. Not that we have a script, but I'm just saying, going off bullet points. Do we think Marina is going to be mentioned in season 4?
That's so hard. That's so hard. Um my
Because, like, talk
instinct
about setting up stories, right? Like,
yeah, my instinct is no. I I think it'll be one of those things cuz I really think that they're going to lean away from all of that. I just do. I just don't think that they're going to lean into it. And I think that it might be a thing that like we see some flashbacks of the grief like within Eloise's season, whatever that is, like season 5 or season 6. I don't know. Especially for the Penelope and Colin of it, like this is their honeymoon season. I don't think they're going to bring up Marina.
okay, that's a
Yeah.
good point right there at the end. Not that the rest weren't good points, but that hits. That hits too. And, like, you wouldn't want to take away from the mourning of John, which we assume we're going to be losing in season 4. Yeah, at some point, the story, the background for Marina is gonna have to come back. But I agree with you that it probably won't be season 4.
Okay. Well, look at
Interesting.
us. Just agreeing all over the
I
place.
know. Love that.
Love that for us.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so moving a little out of the Bridgerverse, we gotta talk some Outlander because big things are happening in which Outlander, their Instagram has officially changed from like just the Outlander thing to Outlander Universe. So this is a whole expanded, like this is like the Marvel Cinematic Universe of stars. And so I'm like, let's go like Lord John Grey spinoff. Let's go 4 seasons of Blood of My Blood. Like bring it on. Give me the Outlander universe. So I'm
Yeah.
very excited on that.
That is so exciting. I hadn't noticed that, but that is like the multiverse. I love that. And I know that you've shared, so I think it was yesterday or today, you shared just like the comparison of like the Blood of My Blood version of the characters we know from Outlander. And I was like, the casting is insane.
It knocks me over. Like it is maybe the best casting I've ever seen of like a prequel. Like Queen Charlotte's incredible. Blood of My Blood might even be one better. Like I am shocked. It's crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's super impressive. They really took the time to find the right, and it always blows my mind how they can find the right person visually, but also that they are at that top tier level of acting. Like exactly like Queen Charlotte. I remember thinking, I was like, what are the odds that you got India, who is like a spitting image of Golda, and yet, and sorry, by the way, I'm referring to Queen Charlotte, young and older, um, but like, but for her to be like amazingly talented, how does that work? How do you make that? You can't make that up. So for Blood of My Blood to hit it at every single character, and likely that they are going to be amazing and impeccable in those roles, it's crazy.
It really is. Well, and we got some stills from Blood of My Blood also. And it's so funny because I feel like not that we are in any way prepared for Brian and Ellen, because we're not. But I feel like we know more about Brian and Ellen, so I think that, like, at least I am more psychologically like, okay, I know what's going to happen. Like, I know their storyline. I know how, they pass. I know what's coming.
Yeah.
I am not prepared for Henry and Julia, for Claire's parents. I and when it was so crazy because I'm literally showing Warhorse starring Jeremy Irvine, who is going to be Henry. I'm showing it in my classes right now because we're talking about World War One. So I'm like, oh, I'm watching him as a World War One soldier for the last like decade, and he kills it. And
Yeah.
so I'm not ready for him to go through, trench warfare and shell shock again. I can't. I don't. It's gonna break me.
She can't handle it, guys. She can't do it.
Well, and this is so like history teacher nerdy, but I love World War One. I'm so fascinated by it because I feel like so much media is always devoted to World War Two because it's like, oh, hey, look, clear bad guy. World War One is so nuanced because it's so much more complicated. It's not nearly that clear cut. There's not this like one monolithic bad guy that's, doing all of these human rights atrocities. Like everybody is a little wrong, and it makes it so interesting and so compelling. And like the literature and the art that came out of that, I mean, the Silent Generation, T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, like it was, I don't know, this kind of like weird awakening for me when I was in college to read all of this and like to really truly understand like sadness was almost through this. So I think that World War One is just such a rich topic and I can't wait for them to explore it. So I think they're going to do a great job.
I love that. I totally agree with you. World War One is definitely something that I know more of than World War Two, just because of being in Canada. The history that we have in World War One is studied more. So whenever there is like a biopic and like something to do with World War One, I do gravitate towards that more because it's interesting and there's so much complexities there. And yeah, I love that. I love seeing it on screen in it's weird to say it that way, but like the history buff in me really does appreciate that kind of aspect of things. So that's going to be really, really cool to see in Blood of My Blood.
So I have no transition, so we can just say that into the next thing. Okay, we go from World War One to let's talk about Taylor Swift.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. That
So
it's the only natural thing to talk about after World War One.
exactly, yeah, the cultural significance is there. Okay, so um, the AMAs, the American Music Awards, are the 26th. Do you think that Taylor will show up? Do you think that she'll announce anything? What are your thoughts on what's coming?
I think that this is it. I really feel like this is the move. This is the move. And mostly it's just because of the Handmaid's Tale thing. Like the sixes. If it's true, it blew my mind because of like Reputation, the sixth album, 6 track, 6 days, 6 season of Handmaid's Tale, and the chills, the full body chills I had with the Look What You Made Me Do Taylor's version. I was like, oh my god, it's coming. There's no, it needs to come, and it just I feel like it's gonna happen on a big stage, and the AMAs it makes sense. So I feel like it's happening. What do you think?
So I also think we're gonna get an announcement. I do. I think she's gonna be there. I have a pet theory also that she might do her first red carpet walk ever with a boyfriend. She's never done that before. I think she might bring Travis. Which should be very fun.
Mary?
Uh, but I am stuck on I think it's gonna be TS12. I do. And I think that because Taylor Nation has been doing a bunch of anniversary posts, and they did one for the third anniversary of her honorary doctorate, and they did a slide for every single one of the eras that she owns, every single one of the albums that she owns. Well, they did it also, they put a purple heart, so that's telling you to look at the Speak Now one, right? They only put a purple heart, no other colors. And then if you look at the Speak Now one, the lyrics are changed. So instead of saying, you need to remember that every day you can be brand new, that's the actual line or something really close to that. Instead, they say you need to know that like everything would be brand new. And then brand new is in cursive, and it is the only slide on this whole slide deck that has multiple fonts. And both times that Taylor has announced her new albums, she has used the words brand new. The last two, most recent, she's used the words brand new.
Damn. That's
So I'm
nuts.
on the TS12 board.
Okay, okay. I I kind of love that too. Like, I would not be mad if it was
Yeah.
TS12. Like, please. Any announcement I would love. I would just love to see her. We miss her. I would love an announcement. Love a red carpet with Travis, please. Ugh, that would be so cute. And yeah, I think both options are great. I just hope we have an
Yeah.
option. Which one was it that we were both like, oh my gosh, she's not even there. And I remember, yeah, you cracked open the cracked open. I was gonna say a beer. I don't think you cracked open a beer. You started like you did like your drink or something. You're like, well, there goes my whole freaking theory. The show
It
hasn't
was
even started.
champagne. I was so ready. I had champagne for God's sake. I was there.
Yeah,
I think it was the
yeah.
Grammys. And it was like,
Oh yeah, it was something, but like the show hadn't even started, and you're like, well, she's not on the red carpet, guys. That's that. I was like, Jesus, come on.
yeah. Oh my gosh.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got signs of life of like from her. She was out and about on Mother's Day and having like brunch with the Kelseys and her parents and everybody together, and it was so cute. But so she's
Cute.
alive and well. So that's all that matters. But we as
Yes,
fans
she's
of her
met the
still
new
love
Kelsey baby, all the things.
her. Yeah.
They're so good. She's good. She's just taking a break, and
Yeah.
Lord knows that she needed one, so.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's what like truly. If there is something, great. If there is nothing, 100% understand. There are 275 songs to listen to. I will happily do that. But if she wants to give us something, I mean, I'm gonna clown for it. So
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, only time will tell. I'm jealous of future us. As always.
I love that. That's gonna be our new tagline. I'm jealous of
Yeah.
future us
Yeah.
for all of our predictions.
Exactly. Well, Cass, are you ready?
Yes, but also no. Like,
These chapters, though. Did you have to buy more like stickies? Are you out?
no, I'm still doing okay.
Okay.
I have a lot, but I'm still doing okay.
So yeah, the last point that we left off, they had a little impromptu rendezvous in the garden, and they were having some fun. They were kissy kissy. And then it kind of came to a point where Sophie was kind of like, why are you stopping? And okay, girl. And he said, you know what? You just stay here and you keep smiling. That's your only job, to keep smiling. And they're being flirty. They're being sassy and flirty. And I love that it's both ways. She is, he is. Nothing could go wrong. Nothing at all. So, in comes chapter 16, which is where we are at.
Yes, and so we get more scenes of Sophie with the Bridgerton girls, which I'm really excited to see in the show. It's such a fun little family domesticity thing. And they're just like, where is Benedict? Where is Benedict? And then he just materializes.
They summoned him. The sisters, the Bridgerton women summoned him as if out of nowhere. And I also love how Sophie internally is referring to the garden scene from the past chapter as the big kiss. So she cannot stop thinking of the big kiss. And every time they utter the name Benedict, like, where's Benedict? She pricks herself. Like, she keeps getting hurt, and they're like, you need a thimble, girl. What's going on? And she just can't keep it together. And it's classic. It's just like cliche, like rom com. Like, she can't focus on what she's doing because somebody somewhere is talking about her crush. So it's super cute.
It is. One, it's also like super symbolic with the pricking her finger and the blood. And he talks about that later. Like there's some blood on the couch. And so it's all very, it predicts ahead for us. It lets us know where this narrative is headed very soon. So that's symbolically relevant.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think that's where you were going. I thought you were gonna talk about
Oh.
Sleeping Beauty when
Oh.
she pricks her finger on the needle, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I thought
Yeah.
you were gonna say it's like a princess reference, and I was like, oh, I like that
No.
too. No.
I was going fucking about it.
You were going first time on the couch. I was thinking about a princess because Sophie's a princess of my heart. But
I
yeah, we
love
can
it.
talk about that.
We're in very different places. That's fine.
That's okay. That's fine. We'll get there at the same time. That's fine.
We will.
Um, but it's funny though because they're very much like, it's been so long, like, where is he? And then Violet's like, you know what? He doesn't need to tell us where he is at any given moment. He's 30 years old. And they're like, that's rich coming from you. He was away for 2 weeks and you were freaking out. And she's like, yeah, well, this is different because I know that he's back. So the dynamic has shifted a little bit. And yeah, then he disappears as if out of nowhere. And they were like, oh, we were looking, just talking about you. We were looking for you. And Sophie's like, I wasn't. So she's back to being sassy, sassy Sophie, which I
That's one
kind
of
of
my
love.
favorite things about this is I feel like her sassiness is starting to come out a little. I love it.
Yeah, it's super good. But then, yeah, she keeps picking herself so much. And she's like, you know what? I'm just going to go get my thimble. And he just, as she passes by, he's like, coward. And like, she gets full body shivers. Like, she cannot even deal. She gets all flushed, and it's like she can't even walk by the guy. So she is down bad, and it's very obvious.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's a super sexy thing too, of when people know things that other people don't is very fun. So when they're hiding it, keeping secrets, planning things, that's a very sexy concept. So it's very fun. It's fun to read about.
Definitely. So then she kind of like goes outside. She has to like get away from it all. And then lo and behold, she runs into you know who, she who must not be named.
And I love too that it's like her voice and it's this grating sound, and Sophie's just like, because it's like a sense memory. It triggers her to hear, yeah, to hear Araminta's voice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but it's interesting because Araminta doesn't see her, which luckily, but our very own Posey does see her and doesn't give her away yet.
Posey always has the best intentions. So like good in spirit, but like bad by accident kind of situation. But yeah, there's a moment where she trips and she's on the pavement, and there's the instinct for Sophie to go help her. But I think because that they kind of find each other on the same level, then Posey, yeah, sees her, and Sophie like shakes her head like, don't. And Posey just keeps going and kind of ignores her. But it really makes me wonder, this must be the moment that we've seen in a still on the Entertainment Weekly. Is this the moment where they're not necessarily outside in that still, they're in the drawing room for in Bridgerton House, and there it looks like Posey is looking and seeing Sophie potentially in the hallway. Do we think that that might be this moment, or do you think that's a later moment in the book?
I don't know. I don't know. It feels very possible that that's that moment. This feels like I think that we might see that happen a little earlier than it is in the book, because I also think that Sophie's going to be a servant in Bridgerton House earlier than she is in the book. So I think that we might see some order change. So I do think that it's really possible that when they come to tea, that's when she sees Sophie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's super possible.
Because I feel like that still was in episode 6. I think it was later in the season. So,
Yeah, you might be
yeah.
right. I can't
So,
remember.
who knows? It could be this
Yeah.
moment, but who knows? It just feels like it's going to be a pivotal moment for us as an audience to see, oh shit, the worlds are colliding, and that is not a good sign for Sophie.
Not at all. Well, and it makes me so sad too, because like on 275, she talks about that like Araminta had to put someone down. She didn't know how to feel good about herself without making someone else feel bad. She'd obviously chosen Posey as her whipping boy or girl, as the case may be. And it's so sad because it's like that she doesn't have Sophie, and she says that too. I think it's just down here, but that like you have to know somebody to hate them as much as Araminta hates Sophie. And so she has to turn that on somebody else she knows. Like she could never be as cruel to another maid as she is to Sophie because it's
Yeah.
just not the history. And it really like speaks to how abusive and awful Araminta is. Like she really is horrendous.
Yeah, for sure. But then knowing where Sophie lies in like a panic outside, having seen Araminta and just like, you know, dodging that bullet, so to speak, then we kind of go back into Bridgerton House and we see Benedict just hanging out, but also feeling like, you know, he doesn't want to stay and eventually like he does leave. And then he luckily bumps into Sophie as he leaves the house. And then he sees how distressed she is and like she's shaking. And she kind of just chalks it up to like, oh, I tripped down the stairs. And he's like, okay, you need to like chill out, like come with me. And yeah, so he kind of just leads her to his place. And at first she's concerned, but he's kind of like, don't worry, your virtue will be safe with me. But it's like, no, it won't be. But she goes with him and kind of cools off, or tries to anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's very much speaks to what they have together, that they are each other's kind of haven and comfort. Like when he's sick and at his most vulnerable, she cares for him. And when, you know, she's feeling very vulnerable and, you know, out in the open here, exposed, it's Benedict who takes her and shelters her and gives her, you know, what she needs, which is, you know, feeling safe, feeling loved, feeling all of these things. So I think it just really notes why they're so wonderful together.
Yeah. And it's sweet too how like on 280 it's kind of like he realizes, okay, she's not going to tell me what's going on, so let me change the subject. So kind of talks like, how are you enjoying like working for my family? And she doesn't have to say much, but like as soon as she starts talking, he's just like, oh my gosh, like he just wants her so badly. And at the bottom of my 280 he says like, he made a serious miscalculation last week. He'd been so focused on getting her to come to London, and a position in his mother's household had seemed the only way to convince her to do it. But he's like, there's just such a barrier to the situation he brought her in, and he's kind of like, I should have made it easier for her to be with me because that's all he wants now. Like that's all he's focused on.
Yeah. Well, and he does a good job early on here, at least, of making it very like his desire for her feels not at all objectifying. Like it feels very authentic. It feels very truly like he cares about her as a person. He's attracted to her as a human. And that's really, I think they've translated that well to the character of Benedict on screen, that he's attached to people's souls rather than bodies. And I think that's going to be very helpful when we go into this as well, because it does not feel exploitative with that feeling of like, and we get to be in Benedict's head in the book of just how much he wants her. It's just this soul deep yearning because of this connection that they have. And so that really sets this up beautifully.
Yeah. And then they kind of go on to talk more about his family, and she makes a pretty bold statement saying, like, you're nothing like the rest of your family. And then she just kind of goes on to talk about how she has, you know, not necessarily deeply analyzed, but like can pick up on people's personalities and why they may be the way that they are. Like, she's so intuitive, and I think he's just blown away by, you know, even just how she understands Anthony, even just meeting him once. Like, she gets who he is, and I think it's just kind of blowing him away. And I think in this moment he's like falling in love with her, and he's slowly realizing that he really needs her more than just like on a physical level. Like, as you said, he just needs the person that she is, and that's even deeper than I think he ever realized.
Yeah. Well, and that goes so perfectly with a quote that I have on It's My 283. Um, but she says, but deep within you, in your heart, in your very soul, is the man you were born to be. You, not someone's son, not someone's brother, just you. And then she says, deep inside, you've the soul of an artist. And oh, it's just beautiful. It's so romantic.
I know. I know. I highlighted that part too. Like, you've the soul of an artist. Like, that's it. Like, the light is just on. And yeah, later on in that very like sentiment, he realizes, yes, I he loved her. He didn't know how it happened, only that it was true. And like, I like put a bunch of like squiggly lines around it because I love it so much. And I just really hope that we have that conversation of her just seeing him for who he truly is. And I think it's going to be kind of that moment where Benedict, like, in season 4 is just going to be like, I know what I'm not anymore. You know, and when we were talking to Erica Oakvist about like Colin's transformation, he comes back from his travels and like he hasn't figured out who he is, but he knows what he's not. And I feel like all of these seasons up to Benedict's own season, he's kind of like figured out what he's not, what he doesn't really want anymore. So I think that this intellectual connection with Sophie is really going to be a catalyst for him. So, and I love how he says, if that wasn't love, he didn't know what was. And it's like, okay. I love it so much.
Well, it's so perfect for a guy who's never been in love. He
Yeah.
hasn't felt this before. And so he gets to be like, oh wow, this new thing and this care and this depth, this is love. It's just so beautiful. I love it.
Benedict. Uh, I love this. I love this so much. And then we go into chapter 17. That, yeah. You need a cold plunge after chapter 17. You need a lake dip. A dip in the lake.
Yeah, well, and
Holy.
so much happens in this chapter. Like
So much.
it's such a roller coaster. So many highs and so many lows.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, well, my first note on this is they're going at it. Like they're not it is all gas, no brakes. Like they're just whoosh.
Yeah. And it starts off like with such it sets the tone in this first line here where she's like, Sophie had been kissed before, she had been kissed by Benedict before, but nothing, not a single moment of a single kiss prepared her for this. Oh girl, you can get laid. Like, holy shit. And she seemed down for it. She's like, yep, all right, let's go.
Oh yeah. Well, and one thing that I did think was really interesting though, and I realized I was like, oh, this is why when I read When He Was Wicked, why Michael became my favorite human ever, is because when he is like doing things with Francesca, he'll like 5 or 6 times as they go, he'll stop and be like, you still want it? And make her say yes. And it is so insane and so sexy. And like, Benedict, I love you, you're sexy also. But it makes me a little uncomfortable when he's like, I don't want to slow down in case she says no. And I'm like, not a good look, bud. Like,
I know. I did highlight that part. He wanted to give her a chance to say no. It would kill him if she did. but it would be far worse to listen to her regrets in the proverbial morning. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, yes, no, let's keep going. But there's a lot of moments, though, later on where he's like, this is it. This is the time to tell me if you don't want to. And he keeps saying, I might be skipping ahead, though, like on my 290, he's like, don't think. He keeps telling her to not think, which is so ironic because after all of this, he's going to be pissed that now she's starting to think again. It's like, bro, you told her not to think. You told her to go for it. And obviously she was going to her brain was going to catch up to what's happening, you know? But you asked for it. You didn't want her to think. You wanted her to be in the moment, and she clearly let herself be in the moment.
Oh, clearly. Yes. Which, do I blame her? Not a slightly even bit. No.
Mm-mm,
Um,
mm-mm.
well, yeah, and that's what, like, I really love about this too, where there's a lot of fun in this. And I think that that's an important aspect to carry over with Benedict and Sophie, with all their banter and all their lightness and who Benedict is as a character, like in the show especially, but in the books as well. I want to see that lightness. Like, I feel like let me think about this. I think this is true. Every first time we've seen in the show is like pretty serious. Penelope and Collins would be the least serious. It'd be the lightest, like in the sense of like where they have banter and talk and giggle and whatever, but even that is a little bit heavy. Like the mirror is kind of heavy. It's, done by Colin finally stands up for Penelope, and it's the first person who's ever done that. Like, I don't know. I would like one that's like giggly and maybe a little awkward and like, but super fun and super sexy in that way. I think that could be a
Mm-hmm.
really interesting thing to bring in for Benedict and Sophie.
Yeah. Well, I think just because she hasn't held back much in any of these like sexy interactions. She just like she's staying at the lake. Like she's not running away. And like she's like engaging in it. Like she's not like, "Oh, we can't do this." She's very aware of what she wants to do and where her boundaries are. So, yeah, I can see that this like whole chapter how it translates to the screen that it could remain silly because like one of my favorite parts is like I mean his internal dialogue is kind of like he wanted to like push her on the sofa, but that would come later. He would do that again another time. And he's just smiling. She's like, "What are you smiling about?" And then when he says, "You make me smile. When you don't make me want to scream, you make me smile." That's so cute.
It is. It's so cute. Well, and it's like such a happy little moment, and I love it. We need to bottle that up because it's so cute. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and I love that Sophie is taking her pleasure, that she is like embracing this aspect, and even if it's not ultimately like she doesn't want to do this consistently, like she can still, make this choice for herself and be like, yeah, this is the thing that I want to experience, and I want to experience it now with this person, and that's
Mhm.
very empowered, and I love that for her.
Yeah, it's definitely just an empowering moment for her all around. And she's like very keenly aware of like what is happening, and she's almost like she's going to overthink everything because she's like on 293 she's like, I don't know what I want. He's like, I do. And like, but she's just kind of letting it happen but also trying to think about it and think through things. But that's why they're just so good for each other because he's there to like remind her, don't think so much. But then at the right time, she's going to be like, maybe think a little more. You know, it's just going to
Yeah,
be the
exactly.
sweetest dynamic, I think.
That's so cute. One, it's very like cliche, but in a good way. Of the like, oh, is it always like this? And like, it's like I think that's part of it too. Is that this is like, I mean, what happens after is maybe not the dream first time, but like the first times are like they're so lovely and like there's mutual pleasure and it's beautiful and romantic and like sensual and all the things. And so it just fills that fantasy so much where it's just this beautiful sweeps you up, sweeps you off your feet. I mean, it's a fairy tale for a reason, right? So I love that.
It is. There is, though, this moment on 295 where she utters, like, she calls him my love. And, right? And I wish he would have said it back. I don't know in what context he could have replied with, like, my love. Like, it would. I, I don't know how it could have been, like, different, but he in the previous chapter he convinced himself, not convinced himself, he admitted to himself that he loved her. Like it could have been, and it could be in the show a really sweet moment of them just both saying it to each other in this moment. So I just don't like that it's like one sided. You know, like she says it, but like he could have said it back. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping for more if they keep that in the show.
Yeah. Well, I'm really wondering too if anything with the revelations of who she is and what and whatever, if that's gonna, the order of that's gonna change or what's gonna happen. Because also,
Yeah.
Yaren said that when he says "I love you" for the first time, she cries. So I don't know what to do with that information.
I keep forgetting about that and it makes me want to cry. I love it so much. I just I feel so protective over Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
She's done nothing wrong except maybe lie to him about her being the Lady in Silver, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm just so protective over her, so I just her being overwhelmed by feeling loved is like breaks my heart, but also fills it at the same time. But
Yeah.
yeah, then I mean, there's the whole like you said, the cliche, is it always like this? And just like I didn't think so. But then but then train wreck.
Yeah. We get yanked off that pedestal real quick.
So fast.
Well, it's so sad because Sophie is so like she's in a really good spot after this, right? Like she, she's a little
No
embarrassed.
shit.
She's yeah, well, yeah. But like she feels good about this decision. I mean, even though it's not ideal, it's not perfect. She made a choice, she made a conscious choice. And again, it's not something she's going to do, it's not something she's planning consistently, but she's like, yeah, she's owning her shit a little bit, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Benedict makes a massive leap and just assumes that, well, of course, because she slept with me once, she's now good being my mistress. Like, and he doesn't even say that. He doesn't even check in. He's like, I'll just send somebody over to get your stuff. And she's like, what?
Bro. Yeah. And I know. And then I think the line where he says, "Don't worry, I'll make sure he's discreet. I know it might be embarrassing for you now that you know my family." Dude, come on.
I
Come
can't.
on.
It's so bad. Well, and I just, like, Benedict's big issue through a lot of this has been being entitled. It really is. And I'm just like, dude, how can you not even, I don't know. I don't know. It's killing me.
I know. And then he turns it into like an insult for him. And I think that that's like the cringe because you're like, when she says, I call it a lapse in judgment. Oh, so I'm a lapse? How nice. I don't believe I've ever been somebody's lapse before. Then it's just. And I think that like generally is so frustrating for me is when the sarcasm comes out. It's like, come on, do we have to? But he does. He felt he had
Yeah.
to.
Well, and it just feels like, I don't know. I mean, like, I understand his vulnerability because of his feelings for Sophie in this moment, but I'm a little bit like, dude, where do you get off? Like, that, like, she is in such a vulnerable position with this. Like, he is being so mean. And I don't know, and that's probably it too, is that he doesn't have the full love for her yet because he doesn't know the full her yet. But it frustrates me because I'm like, well, you clearly don't really, really love her yet because you would want what's best for her and not what's best for you if you really loved her. And so I think I think he's getting there. I think he's 70% of the way there to fully in love with her. But I think until he finally gets that last thing slated in of the Lady in Silver and he gets over the anger, I don't think he has the full love yet. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Because it gets quite nasty. And it's just like back to what I was saying earlier. Like he said, don't think. So what did you think would happen when she started to think again? Obviously, you know she didn't want to do this, but she let the moment and she made a choice for herself. And she's allowed to make that choice, but it's just the fact that you can't chastise her because now she's suddenly saying, she's not saying that she regrets it or anything, but he's acting like that's what she's saying. But she's literally just saying like, I just don't want to do this again. So like, don't go get my shit because I'm not doing this again. She has every right to do that. And honestly, I think that's what makes her so badass is that she's making the decision for herself.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard because it's like, it does feel like she has been fighting for Benedict to take her seriously throughout this, like
Yeah.
her refusal seriously. And that he makes it so personal, makes it so everything is frustrating, to say the least.
Yeah. And I think the worst part is when she says, grant me a favor. Find somebody to marry. Find someone acceptable who will make you happy and then leave me alone. That's like nail on the coffin. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's just like, there's such like a conflicting amount of information of him being like, understand, whatever. It's just like, it's so many perspectives that you can defend him, you could defend her, but you could say that was wrong of him, that was wrong of her. Like, it's so nuanced.
Yeah. Well, I do think it's interesting, and this is just a thought that's striking me right now, and I'll be interested to see what the ending is because I truly don't remember. But like, does Benedict apologize for these things that he says? Does he make it? Because like, I think I would be a little bit mad if Sophie's just, he rides up on a white horse and they pretend like it never happened. I truly don't remember. So I
Mm,
feel like if they don't address this, because he's very mean, and his lack of understanding of why she is saying what she's saying is him being kind of willfully ignoring her position. And
hmm.
so I hope that that comes around. I'm hoping that it does. I don't remember. So,
Well, yeah, I can't remember much either
yeah.
because like the end is just so chaotic. So it'll be interesting
Right.
to kind of deep dive how, they interact in the end of all of this. But there is, so yeah, I feel like this section of him being super insulted is really hard to swallow, but then
Mm-hmm.
there's moments like on 304 when he he's kind of getting more to the root of why she's freaking out and why she doesn't want to do this again. Like he's just like there's the whole idea of like a baby, a bastard.
Mm-hmm.
Um and he doesn't like pry it out of her, but like she ends up just saying like on 305 like what I am is a bastard and before you say you don't care, let me assure you that I do. And she's like, not a day goes by that I am not in some way reminding of the baseness of my birth. And then she's like saying, if I had a child, I would love it so, so, so much, but I would not want to subject her to that kind of pain. And then he's like, it's like he's not understanding until he does, because then he's like, you would reject your child? And she's like, no, but like, I don't want her to feel that pain. But then he's kind of softening a bit, right? Because he's kind of like, I wouldn't reject her either. But like, he's softening, but he's not clicking.
Yeah. No, it's just pretty painful across the board with it because, yeah, and there are moments where it's like this, like the Benedict we know and love is there. He's almost there, but he just is so shut down by his own pain and his own perspective that he just can't make that final last little like step of empathy to understand really where Sophie's coming from. And so they just leave it at a crappy place, honestly. It's not
Yeah.
happy.
Because after her first time, she's just left alone crying on a sofa. And
There went
so
the
we
fairy
go,
tale.
yeah, happily ever after. Not yet. then we get into chapter 18, which,
Hmm.
yeah, some time has gone by and they haven't seen each other in a full fortnight. So
Yeah.
this is where the thoughts are settling in.
Yeah. Well, and it was so sad, like, as Sophie was talking about, it's on my 310, excuse me. But she's saying, like, that basically her heart, she's trying to protect herself from her heart being completely shattered by Benedict and by leaning into this that'll get her heart more shattered. But then she's kind of like, well, my heart really can't get any more shattered than it already is, which is so sad.
It's so sad. Oh, it's so depressing. I just
Yeah.
feel for her so much. And like it seems that even Lady Bridgerton, Violet, is realizing like she's been distant, she's been away, and she's saying kind of like, oh, you should bring like your mending to tea. And she's like, no, I couldn't. She's like, yes, you can. So there's that slight glimmer of like feeling like there's some belonging, but she's keenly aware, obviously, she's never going to be part of that family. Um, but, you know, she's kind of accepted, okay, I'm going to come to tea again. And then, of course, what else are they going to talk about? But Benedict again. And Hyacinth, always a detective, always the one dropping the truth bombs in indirectly. She's like, has anyone noticed that Benedict hasn't visited in some time? Like, girl, we know, but she's just so good at plugging that in. And I didn't realize how much Hyacinth is actually like that in the book. We know that she always brings it up every season. Like, what about Penelope? What about the older Miss Sharma? Like, but yeah, she is really, really in there in the book too.
I just got like that's so funny when you said about the like with the older Miss Sharma. I just got like a flutter in my stomach remembering when Anthony is like, "What about her?" And I was like, I remember when he said that when I watched it, and I was
Oh
like
gosh.
that just gave me a sense memory of that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, you're so funny. But like I had the same reaction just remembering it with Colin and how he's like,
Mhm.
she's a great friend of the family, obviously. It's like I
Oh,
remember
it was
be
good.
like, yes, the scene. Oh,
So
so
perfect.
good.
Um, well, in Hyacinth, I love too that we get to see her trying so hard to be grown up, and they're like, when Eloise like, well, you can just go see Benedict. She's like, I can't go to bachelor lodgings, and Eloise is like, you're 14, like, calm down.
Yeah, and it's your brother, okay?
Exactly.
Like get a grip. But this like I actually really love that. She's like, I could never. Girl, please. But then I feel like the next part with Sophie, I don't know. This is the first time for Sophie that I'm like, I don't know if I agree with you here. And it's when she kind of um, is all knowing about Benedict's art, knowing that his family doesn't know about it. And she's like, yeah, there. It's just when she's like, I don't know. It just made me. It makes me icky. I'm like, girl, no, that wasn't your secret to tell. Number one. Number two, you've been invited to tea. Don't forget your place. Like, love you, girl, but like also, is it really your place to chime in and say like, yeah, well, Benedict has other things that he does, like his art. You don't know about this, basically. And I'm like, this is the first time that I'm like, Soph, girl, weird.
Yeah, I agree. It felt out of character, which I understand that she's like all sad and everything, but it felt out of character and it felt like not appropriate for her to reveal that. And especially when like the reason that she knew in the first place was because she was snooping. So like her first thing about her first interaction with his art wasn't even voluntary from him.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, all right, Sophie, but also not cool. So yeah, I wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
Which his
Um.
family knows about his art in the show, so
Also.
obviously it'll be different. So
Also. So, yeah, interesting. I'm glad we have the same
yeah,
eye to eye there. But then I feel like I started to like sweat and get stressed when Penelope shows up because I'm like, whoa, this is intense. And Penelope is, she's giving Lady Whistledown
yes,
big time.
so much. Yeah.
And I love it.
Well, and It's so crazy because there is so much dread around Penelope, and I forgot what's coming with Pen.
What's coming? Do I forget too?
The interaction that happens outside with Colin, I had to relive.
Oh
I thought
no.
we were through it. I was like, I don't have to deal with this anymore because that already happened. But it happens anew in this book. And it's, oh my God, I don't know if we're ready to talk about this yet, but apparently I'm talking about it. I think it's worse than the show. I think it's more uncomfortable. I don't know how
Yes.
you felt.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay. See how I block it out? Like I just read it, but I block it out. Like I don't want to talk about it. But let's talk about
Yeah.
it because well, yeah, I guess we would be skipping it. But
Yeah.
yeah, poor Pen. Like it is definitely worse than the show because she is in it. She's in the conversation. She's around the inner circle, the bros, and it's just the awkwardness of Colin trying to be like, "Oh my God, no, no, no." It's like, thank God it was spread out in the show where like it happened, and then next season she's like, "I heard you," and then there was like the reconciliation. Like, thank God because all of this in one scene was so bad.
It was so painful. And like, it's so bad. It's like watching a train wreck. And
Yeah,
you can't look away, but I mean, you just got to sit there and experience this horror of, and it's so, because Penelope is so sad. And like when she says, I never asked you to, like, I never
yeah.
wanted you or never asked you to ask me or whatever, I was like,
But
it's
she
so
did
bad.
so good. She did so good. Be like, I never asked you.
Hmm.
Your brother Benedict, and I love how she brings Benedict because we are all Benedict. Benedict is us. He's just there, like, don't make eye contact. Oh my God. But she's like, it doesn't break your brother's heart if I'm not gonna ask him to marry him, does it? And he's like, mm-hmm. So bad, but it's so good, actually.
Yeah, it
Poor
is.
Ben. And it's so bad that we have to do this twice because you get it again in Colin's book, and you're like, shit, that's right. It didn't happen in Colin's book. It happened in another book. Oh my God, it's painful.
So painful. What I really love and one of the through lines in the books that doesn't show up at all in the show that I kind of wish did was that Antony like really likes Penelope. And like he dances with her in his book and like rescues her and he escorts her home in this book and I think he has like very much this like fraternal paternal respect for Penelope and love for Penelope.
Mm-hmm.
Uh that I love that that shows up in the books because it doesn't really. I mean, I don't think that there's ever been an interaction between Antony and Penelope, like not even one.
No, I
So
know.
it's a little sad. Like maybe we could get that this season.
I would love that so much because I think one of the big things that I missed in season three was the whole like Avengers assembling for Penelope, like the whole Bridgerton family being like, there's Simon, there's Anthony, and Colin's like telling them all. And we got the letters, and he wrote like she wrote the letters to the family. But I would have loved to see like everybody stand up for her. But I understand why they didn't do it in the show. She needed to say it herself and all the things and whatever. But yeah, like give me more of like Penelope with her brother-in-laws. Like I love it.
Yeah, that's so cute. Um,
Hmm.
well, and I also really loved the prediction from Benedict when he's like, "They'll be married within a year. Mark my words." And he's like, calling it.
It's so funny to come back to the beginning of the book where he's like, she was a nice enough girl. She wouldn't marry anybody that he knew, and now he's like, for sure, 1 year.
Hmm.
Benedict in love is something else. I would love to circle back on
Yeah.
just the whole interaction of Penelope being there for
Mm.
tea and Sophie being thrown off course because she's like, because Penelope will not stop saying, I know you. I've seen your face before. And Sophie's like, oh my God. Like, she cannot deal with it because Penelope is so, like, on it. And, like I said, giving Lady Whistledown. And it's making Sophie nervous. And I can vividly picture that interaction in season 4 of Penelope. Like, it, I feel like this is a sign that Penelope has a decent role in season 4 because she's part of the ball between Benedict and Sophie. I would love to see her dancing with Benedict, right? And then he sees the Lady in Silver, whatever. And then, just having her be here and kind of noticing her, and if the queen potentially has something to do with, the class division and this whole situation with Penelope, Lady Whistledown, like, I feel like this scene could be a really big indication that Penelope is gonna be part of the end of this story in a big way. So I'm kind of excited.
No, I completely agree. It's so fun. Well, and like Penelope has that way of putting people a little off. Like Sophie's behaving super weird throughout this
Yeah.
whole thing because Penelope's like locked in, and Sophie's like, haha,
Yeah.
okay.
Look away. Because even like when it becomes like they've moved on, but she's like, I know that I know you. And Eloise is like,
Yeah.
she would know. She knows. She never forgets. And Sophie's like, okay, you know what? Hyacinth, you need to go take care of some kids. I'ma come. Get me out of here. So there we are in chapter 19 because Sophie's got to get the F out of there.
Okay, so yeah, into chapter 19. The beginning of this is a conversation with Violet and Benedict. And I mean, the whole time I'm reading this, I'm like, spin off, spin off, spin off, spin off, spin off, spin off.
Yeah.
That's all I have in my head because it's all this stuff about Violet and Edmund. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
can see it playing out. I just need this to exist.
Yes. Yes. I know. And it's a really lovely conversation because, like, it's it kind of explains a little bit. I know at the beginning of the book you were kind of like or not really the beginning, the middle, like where Violet's kind of like shipping Sophie and Benedict, and you're like, she would never, like, she's smart, like she that wouldn't make sense. So I love this chapter for the reason that it really explains what Violet's thinking. So I love that he opens up to her and says, like, what if you fall in love with somebody unsuitable, right? And it kind of brings me back to like Colin being like, how do you know, that you're in love? And you just need to like choose somebody who feels like your best friend. And I feel like Violet has such a way, and her history with Edmund, it always like applies to each of her children's like love stories. So this is a really beautiful chapter for that.
It is. And I also really love, like, that's maybe one of my favorite things about what the show has done with Violet is that Violet in the books is basically perfect. Like, she doesn't really mess up. She doesn't really have anything to grow. She just is Violet, and she's amazing, and she dispenses sage wisdom. She's maybe a little meddlesome. But, like, in the show, she has her own trauma and her own issues, and she messes up. Like, she doesn't prepare Daphne properly, and she has to deal with that. Like, she was awfully hard on Antony, and it caused some issues. And, like, I was thinking this, and I hope, I believe that we'll see in season 4 that she maybe kind of learned something from the way that she treated Antony in season 1. Because I'm like, I can't help but wonder what would have been different for Antony with Sienna if his mom would have had this conversation with him instead of like, you need to dump the girl and get more serious and marry somebody. Like, if this had been the conversation where it was like, what are your feelings for this person? They might have had a different reality. I don't know, I don't know. But it just kind of broke my heart a little for season 1 Antony because he just felt like he couldn't, I don't know, I think he didn't feel like he had that acceptance. And so I hope that I think that Violet has learned, and I think that that's a beautiful thing to show, like, hey, we're going to believe in acceptance universally because what matters is who you love and not where they're from.
That's really interesting. And yeah, actually really heartbreaking and hard to see how season 1 Violet comes to be season 4 Violet when it comes to that class division. But, Anthony never, did he ever come through and say, like, I love her, like, you
No.
know?
Well, and
So,
I don't think necessarily that I don't think that he and Sienna were going to end up together regardless. Like, and I don't
yeah.
think that would have been a good choice by any means. But I think it might have helped his relationship with Violet
Hmm.
if she wasn't quite so dismissive of that. If she had come to him and be like, hey, what are your feelings about this? I want to make sure that I support you, rather
Hmm.
than making it very clear that Sienna was not welcome in the family first.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because I guess, like, in this chapter, she says, I certainly wouldn't banish you for marrying someone unsuitable. But she's cautioning him,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
make the right choice. Don't throw it all away, so to speak,
Yeah.
if it's just like
Well,
in passing.
yeah, and I really like how much she clearly knows her kids, right? Where she says, um, that I don't know where this is at. I have it as a note, but that they're very well liked and they're used to being well liked and they're used to being the upper echelon of the ton. And, as she points out, like, true love is all that matters, but there are other factors that affect a marriage,
Hmm.
and just, cautions him to be aware of that. And I think that that's very sage and very wise. So I love that from her.
Yeah, yeah, I really love that. And then we kind of transition out to where Sophie's at, and she is with the young cousins, and they're playing games, and Sophie's just kind of, in on all the games, and a lot of or the game that they are playing is Blind Man's Bluff,
Hmm.
um, which is exactly as it sounds. You put a blindfold on, and it's stressful because you can kind of put two and two together of what's about to happen, because
Yes.
Benedict is in conversation with his mom. Daphne is with child again, cute, whatever, acts surprised, and then he's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go check out what Hyacinth's doing, thinking, oh, it'd be nice to see the cousins. Let me just go in there. Oh, God, this stresses me out. But he goes in there and he sees a lot more than what he thought.
Yes. Well, and I have a quick little pet theory about who the kids are going to be. Because the kids' names line up with the Mondriches. Not exactly, but like Nicholas is Nikki Mondrich, and then Alice is one of the girls, so Alice Mondrich, and then John Mondrich is the youngest Mondrich boy, and the other boy is John. Then they have the girl named Elizabeth, but the daughter that's a Mondrich daughter is Daisy. But I'm like, three of the four are Mondrich family people. Like, that's going to be Hyacinth playing with the Modriches. And like we already established that Nikki and her are friends in season 3. So
Oh,
it's going to be the Modriches. I've just decided that that's what's happening.
that is so clever. Oh, that is so good. Oh, I can't wait when that's revealed to be true. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. What a good call. Um, yeah, I love that. So let's pretend that's what it is. And he walks in on the Mondrish children playing with Hyacinth and Sophie.
This
Walk me
moment.
through it, Cass, because I can't.
Oh my gosh. It's so insane. And it's like, I don't know why the symbol that came into my head was like from the Bible when Samson pulls the pillars down and everything just crashes. That's how it feels when
Oh,
he is
God.
like, Hyacinth, get the kids out of here, and Hyacinth is like, getting the kids out of here. Like,
Yeah, I
and
know. Will you? No, it's the way he says, will you please evacuate the room?
evacuate.
So dramatic.
Oh my gosh. Well, and it's like I felt almost claustrophobic in it because Sophie can't get the mask off, and
Yeah.
it's like this is stressful, and he's mad, and she's been lying, and it's not good. But also, he's maybe a little madder than he should be. And she can't get the dang mask off, and I'm like, just can you just get the mask off of her? Like I hated that. It stressed me out so hard.
I know, it's like a nightmare.
Oh
And
my
to think of
god.
all the things he says before before she takes the mask off. Like, good God. Oh my God. It's just the way he starts off. Do you have something you need to tell me? It's interesting to see you in a scarf tied around your head, Sophie. Oh my God. He's so intense.
Oh, yeah. It's super intense. And I don't know, it's so hard because I fully get why he is betrayed and why he's mad. Like, I absolutely get it, but I can't help but also feel like so hurt for Sophie because I 100% get why she didn't tell him. Like,
Hmm.
I don't think it was right that she didn't tell him, but I get it. Like, and she's
Yeah.
because it becomes everything crashes down and becomes so real. And I also get her thinking that it didn't maybe mean as much to him as it did to her because he didn't recognize her.
Hmm.
And so I get her logic, even though she's wrong. I get it. It's just hard.
Well, that's the thing too. Like at the beginning of the book, when you know she decides not to tell him, she's like, it was just another ball. Like he may have never even like thought about me again. Like, what's the point? So there's like some fears there of like rejection if she does bring it up. So I feel like this whole story is like they're keeping pieces of information away from the other person that would dramatically change the outcome in an instant. So the fact that like on 340 at the end, probably maybe 341 for you, I'm not sure, but he it was the way she says it didn't seem pertinent, and he's like, it didn't seem pertinent. I fell in love with you 2 years ago and it didn't seem pertinent, but she didn't know.
Yeah.
So there's so many different things. Like he's saying things, but he doesn't know some parts about Sophie and vice versa. And it's like, oh my God, guys, if you could just communicate, that would be great.
That's the refrain of romance novels is like communicate, please.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And, I think it hits even harder when he's like, on 343, he's like, I searched for you for 6 bloody months. She didn't know. She didn't know.
And I mean, to be fair, if she would have said, she would have known. But
He also had no
if you
reason to
don't
tell
know,
her that.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, how that's pretty brave. I mean, like, I don't know, putting it in modern context, like imagining that you had the well, actually, oh my gosh. Okay, so if anybody has read Pucking Around by Emily Rath, I love this book. I love this book. But it's a hockey romance. It's great. Go read her. She's amazing. She does like queer polyamory hockey romances. It's the best. But like in the modern context, it's that this couple has this incredible like one night together on like an overnight layover, and it's amazing. And they don't share names, they don't anything, whatever. They just have this moment, and then she walks in. She's the team doctor for his hockey team. Doesn't know it's him. She sees him. She immediately recognizes him. He doesn't recognize her, and she's like, and he does fairly soon after, like quite soon, but she's pissed for like a while there. That she's like, how can you have not known? And he's like, well, I didn't expect to see you there, and like whatever. And so even just in that context, it's so vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
to think that something meant more to you than it meant to the other person. And
Yeah.
so I get Sophie not saying anything because that's so vulnerable to be like, hey, let me serve my heart up on a platter in
Yeah.
case you hopefully remember.
Yeah.
So,
You didn't remember in the first place, so like it's so tough. And then again, more and more things come out when he's like, who are you? She's like, Sophia Beckett. I've been a servant since I'm 14. And 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 she's just like, I'm a bastard. And he's like, he finally gets it out of her, like, who are your parents? Like, so many things just start to like unravel. I'm a nobleman's bastard. Like, oh my gosh. And it's been such a long road for her to get it all out there, but frick, finally it's out there. And
yeah.
it just took a blindfold, I guess.
Yeah, well, and it's so painful too because, like, she talks about that if she admits to being this aristocratic bastard, she's even closer to almost, and that hurts worse than if she just keeps herself fully in the servant class that has no chance of dreaming of anything better. But if she admits to the fact that, like, hey, I'm the, daughter of the Earl of Penwood, it's just not in matrimony, not in wedlock, so therefore I get nothing, that's like almost worse.
Yeah. Oh, Sophie. Ugh. Brutal.
Oh, and then
And
I
he
wanted
just
to smack Benedict because I was like,
yes.
dude, he wanted to hurt her. That's what I get out of that. He's like, oh, he wanted to hurt her, and he's like, well, I didn't really want to hurt her, but like I'm out of control right now, so I need to leave. And I was like, don't like that, don't like that, don't like that.
No,
Anyway.
not a fan. But at least he left. My gosh. There's being mad, but then there's being like a problem. But he made the right choice to leave. And so we go into chapter 20, which just made me think it can't get any worse. Then there's chapter 20.
I love Violet in this chapter. Violet's a baddie. I love her. She's amazing. She's supportive and understanding
Yes.
and helpful, and she gets Sophie, and she doesn't hold like anything against Sophie. All she wants to do is help Sophie out, and I love Violet. She's amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I can't wait to see that play out. Yeah, because it's just a heartbreaking chapter because she starts like she storms off. She's walking and just frustrated, and then she says, "Damn you, Papa. There, I've called you Papa. You never let me do that. You never wanted to be that." And then it's like, more things you don't know, Sophie. So brutal. But yeah, she's just, yeah, all she knows is that she needs to get out. She needs to get away. So she knows that she's got to pack up her bag yet again and leave.
Yeah. Well, and it's so sad too because she just like she has to talk to Violet, but she doesn't want to talk to the girls. She's just like, get me out of here, and she's just in such a hard place. It really, I mean, this whole thing is very heartbreaking, but it's so hard to see her like these relationships that she's made. She can't even give closure to because she's just so upset. It's really sad.
Yeah. And again, I love that Violet's like, no, I get it. Thank you for telling me. And she knows what happened in some way. Like she just knows like, hey, I just had a conversation with my son about how he needs to do what he thinks is right, and now Sophie's coming back to me wanting to leave. Like she's got to know that it didn't go well, and yeah, she's just Sophie is without realizing, I think just feeling like she can be vulnerable with these people, like, and so she's opening up. Like she hasn't opened up for the better part of the book, but now she's like, okay, yeah, you need to know, I just need to go. And it's sad.
Well, and when Violet says things, it's on my 356, when she's like, you are the sort of woman I would like for my son. Our acquaintance has not been a long one, but I know your character and I know your heart, and I wish that you were of a different background. Like, ooh, that's both beautiful and it's brutal. Because it's very pragmatic, but it's so sad.
It's so brutal. It's so brutal. And all she wants to do is give her the most that she can. She's like, let me give you money. Let me get the carriage around. Like, let me help you. Like, if you're going to leave with something. And good people, just good people. So there's that. But,
Well, and
oh,
yeah.
the end.
Yeah. Well, and it serves as such a contrast, right? Like Violet's warmth and her love and her support, and again, of a child who's not hers, but could be kind of a daughter figure to her. Violet goes the complete opposite direction than the other one, Araminta, who's coming back in.
Coming back in, the second she gets out of the house, she hears Sophie Beckett, and then, God forbid, no, constable, police, thief. What? You're just like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah. Araminta goes for the jugular, like immediately. She
Yeah.
hates Sophie. She hates her.
Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously says, Posey told me she'd seen you. Oh, Posey. God damn it,
I
girl.
love you, girl. Yeah.
She just can't. She can't do it. Oh my gosh. And then there's the she's accusing her of stealing, which, I mean, she's not wrong, but it wasn't even worth anything. Like, come on. Uh,
Yeah. I had such a vision of the wagon that we saw
yes.
outside Bridgerton House. I was like, it feels like the Grim Reaper coming for her and for us. I just
It is such a stark contrast from what we've ever seen on Bridgerton. It's like, shit. It's like bringing me back to like season one with like the Lord Featherington just being in this dark, grungy, like being killed. It's like that's not Bridgerton. But I guess our girl Sophie is going to jail. She's going to jail, and there's just such like a pit in my stomach when I read this because I'm like, you just know that the people like Violet and Benedict are gonna be like, what the fuck happened? Where did she go? I brought the carriage around and now suddenly she's gone. And Benedict, I mean, who knows where he's going? No spoilers, but like, it's that moment of like, but how are they gonna know? Brutal.
no, it's so scary. It's so scary. Yeah, and she just vanishes without a trace, and it's like, well, what do we do? I guess we'll find out. Next week is our To Doom episode. Uh, because To Doom, and also, guys, just to let you know, we're going to be releasing that episode on Monday to make sure that we have enough time to address everything, anything that we're going to get at To Doom. So that episode will be coming a day late. But we're going to make sure that we address all the things, whatever it is, fingers crossed that it's something good. And then the following week, we will be finishing up An Offer from a Gentleman.